The stars above Earth were calm that night. In the control center of Earth's unified command, everything was running normally. Officers were monitoring space traffic, updating charts, and sipping their late-night coffee. Then at exactly 02:17 UTC, every screen flickered. The lights dimmed for a second. A strange, rhythmic signal echoed through the speakers, low, steady, almost like a heartbeat. Technicians scrambled to check the systems. "It's not a malfunction," one officer said. "The signal is coming from deep space." The signal was repeating, increasing in volume with every cycle. It wasn't random noise. It was deliberate. Someone, or something, was knocking on humanity's door. Within minutes, every major government received the alert. In a hidden bunker beneath the Alps, the Global Council assembled. Generals, scientists, and world leaders took their seats around a circular table. The atmosphere was tense. No one spoke at first. Then the head of communications stood and pressed a button. The room filled with the strange, pulsing sound. "This began 20 minutes ago," she said. "It's coming from the outer edge of our solar system. It's not one signal, it's thousands." They're in perfect sync. The room fell silent again. Everyone understood what this could mean. Contact. Suddenly the main display lit up. A deep space telescope had captured something massive moving toward the solar system. It was not a fleet of ships. It was one structure, enormous, shaped like a dark, spiked spear. It was unlike anything humans had ever seen. Its size was beyond imagination. It wasn't traveling fast, but it was moving directly toward Earth. Admiral Carter leaned forward, his voice calm but firm. "Put it on all screens." The image expanded across the walls. The alien vessel filled the room like a nightmare. It had no visible engines, no flashing lights. Its surface pulsed faintly like a living creature. Scientists analyzed the data and whispered among themselves. Its energy output was unlike any known technology. "It's not just a ship," one of the physicists finally said. "It's broadcasting." A burst of light suddenly filled the control center. The alien signal changed. It was no longer a heartbeat. It became a language, a deep, layered voice that shook the speakers. The translation AI worked desperately to decode it. After a few seconds, the message appeared on screen in simple, chilling text. "Attention, human species. You have violated the sacred boundary. You have shown aggression beyond your right. Under the authority of the Galactic Council, war is hereby declared." Gasps filled the room. The message repeated again and again, echoing through every human network, hijacking satellites and media streams. Every person on Earth saw it. Some froze in fear. Others felt rage boil inside them. President Malik stood slowly. "Are we sure this isn't some elaborate hoax?" she asked. General Torres shook his head. "No, ma'am. That thing is real, and it's coming closer." The ship stopped at the edge of the moon's orbit. It didn't attack. It simply stayed there, hanging like a giant blade over the world. More signals followed, each one more threatening than the last. They accused humanity of spreading beyond its borders, of colonizing forbidden zones in deep space. To the aliens, this was a challenge, an act of war. In the shadows of the control room, an old intelligence officer whispered to the admiral, "They have no idea what they've started." Back on Earth, panic spread. News outlets played the alien broadcast nonstop. Cities went quiet. Some people fled to shelters. Others gathered outside to stare at the night sky, where a faint red glow was now visible, a sign of the alien ship's presence. Inside Unified Command, military protocols activated. Defense satellites turned toward the unknown object. Stealth fleets hidden in asteroid belts received coded orders. Humanity had faced wars before, but this was different. This was not a negotiation. It was a declaration. Dr. Lena Morgan, a xenolinguist, stood before the council with trembling hands. "They think they're giving us a warning," she said. "But their tone, it's arrogant. They don't expect resistance. They believe they've already won." The admiral's eyes hardened. "Then we'll remind them who they're dealing with." Far away, in deep space, hidden human listening posts picked up more alien chatter. Fleets were mobilizing. Entire star systems were preparing for war. The alien coalition believed this would be a swift and easy conquest. They saw humanity as reckless explorers, bold but fragile. What they didn't know was that humanity had been preparing for something like this for decades. Old defense projects, black-budget weapons, and silent protocols were waiting to be unleashed. For years, Earth had pretended to be weak, peaceful, harmless. But behind the curtain, humanity had built something terrifying. As the alien ship's shadow stretched across the moon, a single coded message was sent to every human military branch: Protocol Ragnarok, stand by. The story of the arrival was no longer just about first contact. It was the opening move in a war the aliens believed they could easily win. But in reality, they had just awakened the deadliest species in the galaxy. The Admiral looked at the star map one last time before leaving the room. The alien ship was still there, silent and waiting. He smiled faintly. "Congratulations," he whispered. "You just declared war on the wrong species." Far beyond the edge of the solar system, in a massive war council ship, the alien coalition gathered. It was a floating fortress the size of a moon, built by dozens of species working together. Inside its grand chamber, the leaders of these species stood in a circle, surrounding a holographic model of Earth. The atmosphere was smug. Their voices echoed through the hall like the growl of predators who believed they had already cornered their prey. The supreme warlord of the coalition, a towering creature with glistening black scales and glowing eyes, slammed his claw on the table. "The humans have crossed the line," he growled. "They spread their colonies into forbidden zones. They disobeyed the Council's laws. For this, they will be crushed." A wave of approving hisses, growls, and laughter followed. The alien leaders were confident. Humanity was known as loud explorers, aggressive traders, and ambitious builders. But in their eyes, humans were still young, fragile, unorganized, an easy enemy. General Varkesh, a reptilian commander with years of war experience, stood proudly. "Our fleets number in the tens of thousands. Their fleets number in the hundreds. Their defense line is thin. Their colonies are scattered. They won't last long. By the time they realize what is happening, it will already be over." One of the council members, a pale, insect-like creature with a clicking voice, added, "Our intelligence reports say their outer colonies rely on outdated defense systems. Once we strike, their people will panic. They will surrender quickly. Fear spreads fast among humans." They laughed again. Around them, large screens showed strategic plans. Colored arrows pointed toward Earth and human colonies. The first wave would strike the outer colonies. The second wave would block the solar system. The third wave would crush Earth itself. Their plan was clean, calculated, and confident. They didn't know that their intelligence reports were years out of date. In the command chamber, the warlord raised his voice. "The humans think they are clever. They think their little fleets and planetary cannons will protect them. They think their alliances mean something. But in the face of the Council's war machine, they are nothing. A few loud predators pretending to be powerful." The crowd roared with approval. The war drums echoed through the chamber. Across their armadas, alien soldiers prepared their ships. Crews loaded weapons, checked shields, and rehearsed invasion procedures. Thousands of ships began aligning their engines for the journey toward human space. Their confidence grew with each passing hour. Meanwhile, inside their intelligence department, a young alien analyst stared at a glowing screen. Something didn't add up. Their last recorded human ship movements were strangely quiet. No new data had been received for months. But every time he tried to raise this concern, his superior brushed him aside. "They're probably hiding because they're scared," the superior said. "Do not waste time. The war is already won." The analyst fell silent. Deep down, he felt a chill, but no one listened. The alien coalition began their march toward human space. It was a sight to behold. Giant war carriers shaped like floating cities, needle-like destroyers, spherical shield ships, and heavy dreadnoughts. Their combined power could erase entire civilizations. As the fleet moved, the leaders watched from the observation deck with pride. "They won't even fight," Varkesh said with a grin. "They'll beg for mercy once they see us in their skies." The Supreme Warlord looked at the blue image of Earth hovering in the hologram. "Humanity believes it is strong," he said slowly. "But they have never faced a united galactic force. They have never faced a war they cannot win. This will be our fastest victory yet." Their arrogance blinded them. They didn't notice the small details, how certain human communication lines had gone silent, how several human satellites suddenly changed trajectory, how deep space beacons started transmitting encrypted signals they couldn't decode. These signs were dismissed as panic or last-minute defenses. None of them suspected that humanity was not panicking, they were preparing. In their war rooms, alien strategists compared human history. "They have fought wars, yes," one strategist said, "but mostly among themselves. They are clever, but their tactics are primitive compared to ours. Their technology is uneven. Some of their ships are outdated. Their reaction time is slow. They'll be overwhelmed," another strategist agreed. "They are predators, but they've grown soft. They rely on machines, on peace treaties. They won't expect what's coming." The coalition's entire war plan was built on a single, dangerous assumption, that humanity would react like prey. As the fleets approached the first human colonies, they sent advance warning broadcasts. "Humans," the message began, "surrender your territories peacefully. You are surrounded. Resistance is useless. The Galactic Council shows mercy once. Defy us, and you will be erased." On Earth, the message played across every channel. People watched it with mixed emotions, fear, anger, and something else. A quiet, sharp determination. In the military bunkers, commanders watched the alien broadcasts without panic. They had seen this kind of arrogance before. Back on the alien council ship, Varkesh turned to the warlord. "Our first strike will be glorious," he said proudly. "The humans will learn their place." The warlord nodded slowly. "Yes, and when their capital falls, the rest of the galaxy will see what happens to those who challenge us." The alien fleets accelerated, engines glowing like distant stars. They believed this war would be quick. They believed humanity would kneel. They didn't understand that the moment they declared war, something ancient and ruthless had awakened inside the human race. They were not facing prey. They were flying straight toward the deadliest species in the galaxy. While the alien fleets moved closer with pride and overconfidence, Earth was silent. But beneath that silence, something vast had begun to awaken. In secret underground bases, deep oceans, and dark orbits, humanity was preparing its true answer. Under the icy crust of Antarctica, a massive steel door opened slowly. Inside the hidden complex were hundreds of sleek warships, black, sharp, and built for one purpose: total war. Their engines glowed faint blue as power flowed through systems that had slept for years. These ships were part of Project Ragnarok, a classified program created in the shadows of past wars. Officially, the project didn't exist. Unofficially, it was the single deadliest arsenal humanity had ever built. In a control room far below ground, technicians and officers worked quietly. No shouting, no panic, only precise commands. Massive screens lit up, showing the alien fleet's approach. A young officer whispered, "They think we're unprepared." The commander, a calm woman with sharp eyes, replied, "Good, let them." Across the solar system, similar awakenings happened. On Mars, hidden hangars opened under the red sands. On the far side of the moon, old defense stations powered up after decades of silence. In the asteroid belt, huge cloaked carriers slowly came to life, their stealth systems activated. These fleets had been placed in strategic locations years ago, not for exploration, but for a day like this. In low Earth orbit, the Guardian Net switched to combat mode. Thousands of defense satellites turned like a synchronized swarm. Their targeting systems locked on the alien formations long before the enemy even entered range. The aliens thought Earth's defenses were simple planetary cannons. They were wrong. Guardian Net had been designed to handle multiple fleets simultaneously. Inside Earth's main war bunker, Admiral Carter stood before the command table. Around him, holographic displays showed every human fleet position. Each light represented a hidden force now ready to move. The room buzzed with energy. For years, they had trained in silence, waiting for the moment when the galaxy would come knocking. "Status?" Carter asked. "All Ragnarok units are online," replied his aide. "Guardian Net is fully armed. Lunar and Martian fleets are in stealth formation. The enemy hasn't detected any changes yet." Carter nodded. "Perfect. Keep it that way. They expect panic. Give them silence." Meanwhile, in space, a human stealth reconnaissance ship drifted near the alien vanguard. Its sensors gathered every piece of data: fleet sizes, shield frequencies, communication codes. Then it disappeared into the dark, completely unseen. The data streamed back to Earth's AI war engine, codenamed Helios. Helios analyzed millions of scenarios per second, searching for the perfect counterattack pattern. The alien fleets didn't realize that every move they made was being tracked, mapped, and dissected. On Mars, Commander Ruiz gave the order to prepare the Valkyrie dreadnoughts. These were colossal human warships, each capable of leveling an entire fleet alone. They had been kept under camouflage for decades. Workers removed the final covers, and for the first time, their black-armored hulls glistened under the Martian sun. Engines rumbled like beasts waking from hibernation. At the same time, under the Pacific Ocean, an underwater base launched a swarm of skimmer drones. These were small, fast, invisible to most sensors. Their job wasn't to attack, but to jam, confuse, and blind the enemy. They spread out like a quiet tide, positioning themselves between Earth and the incoming alien fleets. The alien coalition believed humanity would try to defend each colony individually, but humanity had no intention of following a predictable strategy. They were setting a trap built with precision and patience. In a dark, isolated chamber, President Malik received a secure transmission from Admiral Carter. "Madam President," Carter said, "we are ready. All units are on standby. Once they cross the line, we hit first." Malik took a deep breath. "The world is watching," she said. "They declared war. We'll show them who they declared it on." Back in the alien fleet, no one suspected a thing. Their sensors showed no unusual movements. Human signals were calm. Civilian broadcasts looked disorganized, full of panic and confusion. The aliens smiled. To them, this was proof that the humans were afraid. But inside the hidden bunkers, soldiers sharpened their focus. Engineers double-checked systems. Pilots sat silently in their cockpits, waiting for the green light. Humanity wasn't afraid. Humanity was preparing to unleash something the galaxy hadn't seen before. On the edge of the solar system, Helios detected the exact moment the alien fleet crossed the line of engagement, a zone secretly marked by human defense decades ago. Instantly, encrypted orders spread across every human unit. Lights flashed green. Protocol Ragnarok. Phase 1. Prepare to strike. The Guardian Net satellites rotated in perfect unison. Lunar stations extended their long-range rail cannons. Martian stealth fleets turned toward their targets. Every hidden weapon humanity had carefully built pointed directly at the incoming enemy. In the war room, Admiral Carter leaned forward. "They wanted war," he said softly. "They're about to see what that means." The human fleets remained cloaked, waiting. The aliens continued to advance, blind to the storm gathering around them. They didn't know that their confidence had led them into the jaws of something far more dangerous than they imagined. The quiet before the storm was almost beautiful. In that silence, humanity's real nature emerged, not as explorers, not as diplomats, but as survivors who had turned survival into an art of war. The galaxy thought humanity was weak. But humanity had been hiding its claws in the dark. The alien armada entered human space like a storm. Thousands of ships stretched across the void, their formation tight and confident. From the Council flagship, Warlord Zier watched Earth's sector on the tactical map. His claws tapped the table slowly. "No resistance," he muttered. As expected, reports came in one after another. Human colonies on the outer rim had gone silent. Civilian ships scattered, fleeing deeper into the solar system. To the aliens, it looked like panic. To them, it was proof of weakness. They prepared to strike, then without warning, the void lit up. On the edge of the fleet, the first alien carrier simply exploded. No warning, no visible shot, just a sudden burst of light as its hull tore apart. In seconds, 2 more ships went dark. Alarms filled the alien bridge. Zir stood frozen. "What was that?" Sensors scrambled for answers, but nothing appeared on their screens. Invisible enemies were tearing holes in their front lines. Across the formation, crews shouted in confusion. The aliens had trained for battles with predictable enemies. They had never faced an opponent they couldn't see. Above Earth's moon, the Guardian net made its first move. Thousands of defense satellites fired in perfect unison. Thin beams of concentrated energy lanced across space, invisible to the naked eye until they tore into alien shields. Whole squadrons vanished in the opening volley. On Mars, the Valkyrie dreadnoughts opened fire. Their rail cannons unleashed glowing slugs the size of buildings. The projectiles ripped through enemy cruisers as if they were made of paper. Alien formations bent under the assault, their neat lines turning chaotic. Back in the alien flagship, panic broke through their arrogance. "Shields are failing," one officer cried. "We are taking fire from multiple vectors." Another voice shouted, "No enemy ships detected, only impact readings." Zir roared, "Impossible! Humans do not have this power." But humanity had more than power, they had strategy. From hidden asteroid bases, human stealth fleets decloaked. Their black hulls shimmered into view for the first time, guns already blazing. Missiles streaked across the void. Drone swarms flooded into alien lines, slashing through engines and communications. Within minutes, the mighty alien advance was in chaos. Inside Unified Command, Admiral Carter stood with arms folded, his face calm as the screens lit up with red, each red mark a destroyed enemy vessel. Officers shouted numbers, 50 ships down, 100 down. The room vibrated with quiet intensity. No one cheered. It wasn't over yet. On the front lines, human pilots struck with precision. Captain Reyes led her squadron of interceptors through the wreckage. Alien fighters scrambled to respond, but the humans moved like ghosts, fast, unpredictable, lethal. Reyes locked onto 3 enemy ships in seconds. "Targets acquired," she whispered. 3 flashes later, they were gone. Alien commanders tried to reorganize. They ordered shield ships forward, heavy carriers behind. But every time they moved, humans were already there, cutting supply lines, disabling engines, forcing ships into traps. From the flagship, Warlord Zir watched his grand fleet collapse. The confidence he once felt twisted into cold disbelief. This cannot be," he whispered. "They were supposed to fall." At that moment, a new broadcast cut through the alien comms. It was not a message from their fleet. It was from Earth. The voice was calm, sharp, and chilling. "To the so-called Council, you declared war on humanity. Now you will see what that means. We are not prey. We are predators. And this is only the beginning." The words echoed across alien ships, translated into every language. Soldiers and officers froze, listening. Fear gripped them. It wasn't just the destruction around them. It was the tone of the human voice, cold, confident, certain. Then came the next strike. The skimmer drones, released from Earth's oceans, swarmed into the alien fleet. They jammed communications, hacked targeting systems, and overloaded sensors. Alien ships suddenly fired on each other, confused by false signals. Chaos spread like wildfire. Commanders screamed orders that never reached their crews. In the war room, Dr. Lena Morgan watched the alien fleet break apart. "They don't understand," she said softly. "They thought this would be easy. They thought we'd run. But they've never faced a species that refuses to lose." The battle raged on. Within an hour, the alien fleet had lost nearly a quarter of its strength. Entire formations were gone. Their once proud advance now looked like scattered debris. Admiral Carter finally gave the next order. "Push them back." No mercy. Human fleets surged forward. For the first time, they revealed their full strength. The Valkyrie dreadnoughts led the charge, rail cannons firing relentlessly. Behind them, swarms of human fighters tore through alien defenses. From Earth's orbit, planetary cannons unleashed storms of fire. The sky itself seemed to burn. Alien ships began retreating. Their leaders, once so proud, now screamed for reinforcements. Some tried to flee, only to be cut down by waiting human fleets. The trap was complete. Warlord Zur slammed his fist against the command table. Retreat, no. We are the Council. We do not run from primitives. But even as he shouted, his fleet disobeyed. Survival instincts overpowered loyalty. Ships turned and fled, engines burning desperately. For the first time in centuries, the great galactic coalition was in retreat. On Earth, people watching the skies saw distant flashes of battle. News screens showed burning alien wreckage falling into the atmosphere. Fear turned into war. Panic turned into pride. Humanity was no longer hiding. Humanity was fighting back and winning. As the battle ended, Admiral Carter's voice carried across the comms. Message to all fleets. Phase 1 complete. The Council has seen our answer. Prepare for Phase 2. This war has only begun. The room fell silent. Every officer understood what he meant. Humanity had struck first. Humanity had struck hard. And now, there was no turning back. The aliens came believing humans were weak. Instead, they had met the deadliest species in the galaxy. The alien armada fled in chaos, their once perfect formation shattered into drifting wrecks and scattered survivors. In Earth's unified command, Admiral Carter stood before the glowing war table. The red marks showing destroyed enemy ships were everywhere. The first strike had been a complete success, but Carter's eyes were fixed beyond the solar system. He wasn't satisfied with defense. They came to our doorstep, he said coldly. Now we knock on theirs. The room fell quiet. Officers exchanged glances. For decades, humanity had prepared for this day. But now, it was time to step beyond defense and into vengeance. Carter raised his voice. Phase 2. Unleash the fleets. Across the solar system, hundreds of human ships received the signal. Engines roared to life. Massive dreadnoughts, sleek stealth cruisers, and swarms of fighters turned away from Earth and pointed toward alien space. Their mission was simple: push the enemy back before they could regroup. On Mars, Commander Ruiz stood on the deck of the Valkyrie dreadnought Iron Dawn. Before him stretched a formation of warships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen from humanity. He spoke to his fleet with quiet intensity. They thought we would hide behind our planets. They were wrong. Today, we take the fight to them. Within hours, 3 separate human task forces jumped into hyperspace through pre-calculated slip routes. These were not random attacks. Every target was chosen carefully. Alien supply hubs, command centers, and strategic choke points. Years of quiet intelligence work had mapped out the coalition's weak spots. Now humanity would hit them all at once. The first strike group emerged near the Velnar Relay, a critical alien communications hub. The alien operators barely had time to react before human stealth ships decloaked around them. Torpedoes streaked through space, smashing the relay's defenses. Explosions lit the void as the entire hub went dark. In alien high command, confusion spread like wildfire. "We're losing contact with the Velnar Relay," one officer shouted. Another responded, "Human fleet spotted in the Sorrel Belt. No, wait, they're attacking 3 sectors at once." They had expected humans to stay defensive, maybe push back a little. They never imagined humanity would strike so fast, so deep. Their proud coalition had always believed that offense belonged to them. But now, they were the ones scrambling to react. The second human task force struck an alien fuel depot near the edge of coalition space. The alien defenders lined up for battle, but human tactics were unlike anything they'd faced. Instead of direct assault, human ships split into multiple small groups, surrounding the depot like wolves. They jammed sensors, cut escape routes, and crushed the defenders piece by piece. Within 30 minutes, the depot exploded in a chain reaction, lighting up half the sector. Meanwhile, the third strike group headed straight for a heavily guarded alien command center in the Corran Nebula. This was the nerve hub for the coalition's military coordination. Taking it down would send shockwaves through their entire war effort. Leading the attack was Captain Reyes and her elite fighter wings. She flew through the nebula's glowing clouds, weaving between energy storms. Alien defenses tried to track them, but the nebula interfered with their sensors. Reyes smiled inside her cockpit. "Perfect hunting ground," she whispered. Human bombers dove through the mist and unleashed precise strikes on shield generators. Dreadnoughts followed, tearing through weakened defenses. In less than an hour, the mighty Corran command fortress, once thought untouchable, was burning. Alien commanders shouted frantic orders that never reached their fleets. Communication lines collapsed one after another. Back at the alien council ship, panic returned. Warlord Zure slammed his claws onto the table. "They were supposed to be defending," he roared. "How are they inside our space already?" A frightened officer replied, "Their fleets are moving too fast. We can't predict their jumps. Our relays are offline. Our depots are burning. Command centers are falling." "Enough!" Zure shouted, but inside even he felt a cold fear. Humanity wasn't just resisting. Humanity was advancing. Across alien worlds, citizens watched in disbelief as human fleets appeared like phantoms, struck with deadly precision, and disappeared again before counterattacks arrived. Whole regions of space that had once been safe were now under siege. Panic spread through alien communications networks. Rumors grew. Some whispered that humans had impossible technology. Others said humans were using dark weapons forbidden by galactic law. But the truth was simpler. Humanity had spent centuries perfecting the art of war while pretending to be peaceful. Inside Earth's command bunker, President Malik listened to reports coming in rapid waves. Every strike was a success. Supply lines collapsing, enemy fleets retreating, sectors going dark. She turned to Admiral Carter. "They underestimated us," she said softly. Carter nodded. "They always do." Out in space, alien reinforcements finally arrived to block humanity's advance. But by then, the human fleets had already set their traps. Mines detonated, false signals led alien groups into ambush zones, and stealth ships struck from behind. The once massive coalition fleet began to fracture under pressure. Commanders argued among themselves. Some wanted to retreat. Others demanded a counterattack. But unity was crumbling fast. Captain Reyes led the final assault on the sector's primary warp gate, a massive structure used by alien fleets to travel between regions. If humanity took it, they would cut the enemy's supply lines in half. As she flew through the gate's outer defenses, she whispered to her squadron, "Let's make history." The gate's shields collapsed after a brutal exchange. Human dreadnoughts moved in, their cannons firing in synchronized volleys. The structure shattered in a brilliant explosion that echoed across nearby systems. For the first time, alien military leaders realized something horrifying. They were losing their own territory. Throughout the galaxy, neutral species watched the war closely. Many had always feared the humans, but never truly believed the stories. Now they saw with their own eyes. A united galactic coalition had declared war on humanity, confident of an easy victory. Instead, they were being pushed back, sector by sector. In the war room, Admiral Carter received the latest updates. Every officer stood a little taller now. Fear had turned into resolve. "Send the final message to the coalition," Carter ordered. A transmission spread through alien space. "You came to destroy us. Instead, you've awakened us. This is no longer your war, it's ours now." The message was simple, cold, final. The aliens had declared war on humanity. But now humanity was declaring war on them. The alien coalition had started this war with confidence. They believed their power, numbers, and technology would crush humanity quickly. But now their fleets were shattered, their territory burning, and their command structure collapsing. In the coalition's central war chamber, Warlord Zure stared at the latest reports with wide eyes. One by one, red alerts spread across their star map. Human fleets were deep inside their space, striking military hubs, destroying supply routes, and tearing apart everything they had built. His voice trembled with a rage he could barely contain. How did this happen?" The council members around him were silent. The arrogance they once wore like armor was gone. In its place was fear. Back on Earth, Admiral Carter received the final wave of intelligence reports. Helios, the war AI, had analyzed the entire situation. The enemy coalition was broken. Their remaining fleets were scattered and confused. Carter stood before his officers. "This is it," he said. "We finish it now." He raised his voice so everyone in the room could hear. Phase 3, Reckoning. Across human fleets positioned in alien space, the signal was received. Engines roared to life. Massive dreadnoughts turned toward the last strongholds of the alien coalition. Fighter squadrons tightened their formations. This wasn't just a counterattack anymore. This was a decisive strike to end the war once and for all. In the Velthar sector, where the coalition's main command world was located, alien leaders ordered their last fleets to form a defensive wall. Thousands of ships gathered, their formation dense and desperate. Massive shield generators lit up the skies around their capital world. It was their final stand, but humanity had already studied every inch of this defense. From stealth outposts hidden weeks earlier, human scouts had mapped their formations and found their weak points. Carter's strategy was simple: strike fast, strike hard, and leave no time for recovery. 3 massive human fleets jumped into the Velthar sector from different directions. Their arrival was silent at first, then space itself lit up with fire. Rail cannons, missiles, drones, and energy beams turned the darkness into a glowing battlefield. Alien ships opened fire wildly, but human formations moved with surgical precision. Captain Reyes led the first assault wave. Her fighter wing darted through the gaps in the alien wall, targeting shield generators with pinpoint accuracy. Explosions rippled through the defensive network, breaking their once solid barrier. Behind her, dreadnoughts followed, blasting open massive holes in the alien lines. On the alien capital world, citizens stared at the sky as streaks of fire fell from orbit. They had grown up believing their coalition was untouchable. Now human ships filled their skies. Inside the alien war chamber, panic turned to chaos. Officers shouted conflicting orders. Some demanded a counterattack. Others screamed for retreat. Aguirre stood in the center, trying to regain control, but even he knew it was slipping away. "Regroup the fleet," he ordered. "Hold the line!" But the line was already broken. Human stealth ships uncloaked inside their formation, attacking from behind. Drone swarms cut through their support ships. Coordinated strikes destroyed their command vessels one by one. Alien communication networks collapsed completely. The mighty coalition fleet became nothing more than scattered pockets of resistance. On Earth, millions watched live feeds of the battle. The once feared alien fleets were burning in their own skies. For generations, humanity had feared the day the galaxy would turn against them. Now that day had come, and humanity had turned it into their greatest victory. As human forces closed in on the alien capital, Admiral Carter gave the final command: "Send the message." A transmission echoed across the entire sector, translated into every alien language. "This war ends now. You declared war on humanity. Now you will surrender, or there will be nothing left to surrender." The message was calm, clear, and terrifying. Warlord Zir felt his strength falter. For the first time in his life, he felt something unfamiliar: defeat. He looked around at his fellow council members, once proud leaders, now broken and silent. One of them whispered, "We thought they were prey." Zir's claws tightened. His empire was crumbling before his eyes. He knew continuing would only bring extinction. With a heavy voice, he finally spoke the words that echoed through their command center: "Signal surrender." Across the battlefield, alien ships powered down their weapons. One by one, their engines went dark. White surrender lights blinked in the darkness. Human fleets surrounded them like hunters circling their prey, ready for any trick. But there was no trick left. The coalition had nothing more to give. On the alien capital world, the coalition's flags were lowered. In their place, the human emblem was projected into the skies, not as conquerors, but as a reminder. A reminder of what happens when arrogance meets the deadliest species in the galaxy. Back on Earth, Admiral Carter stood before his people. Screens across every city showed his broadcast. His voice was firm, not triumphant. "This is not a celebration," he said. "This is a warning. To the galaxy and to ourselves. We did not ask for this war, but we ended it. Let this day be remembered, not for destruction, but for the price of underestimating humanity." The galaxy listened. In neutral worlds far away, species that once laughed at humans now watched in silence. Stories spread across space, stories of a species that had been underestimated, challenged and provoked, and had responded with unstoppable fury. The legend of humanity grew. In the war's aftermath, human fleets remained stationed across alien sectors to secure peace. But in their hearts, every human soldier, pilot and commander knew the truth. They had survived not because they were lucky, but because they were ready. They had been underestimated once. That mistake would not happen again. Under the quiet stars, the wreckage of alien fleets drifted silently. Humanity had not just defended their home. They had changed the balance of the galaxy forever. And somewhere, in the darkness of space, Admiral Carter whispered the final words to himself. "Congratulations. You declared war on the deadliest species. And now you've paid the price.